Pittsburgh playing at Cameron Indoor Stadium for the first time in 36 years. This is where you're supposed to say none of these players were even born the last time they were here. James Robinson and Cameron Wright with Chris Jones, the three-guard, look to start the game for Jamie Dixon. Jamel Artis has played very well lately, and their leading scorer and rebounder is Michael Young, the sophomore. Coach K can't get 1,000 and all that goes with it past him soon enough. He is not enjoying the hype. Three freshmen in his starting lineup, including the National Player of the Year candidate Jahlil Okafor. Emil Jefferson, in the words of Coach K, coming off his best game at Duke in the win Saturday against Louisville. And you love Okafor. What's not to like, as Mike Krzyzewski said?
He's a magnificent basketball player, and he's only going to get better. As good as he is now, and I think he is the best player in the country, he's got a lot of room for improvement, which is a scary thought for opponents.
And the tip controlled by Pittsburgh, dressed in the visiting blue. Tony Green, Brian O'Connell, and Pat Driscoll are the officials.
And Duke starting off with that 2-3 zone look. Against Louisville, they went 2-3 zone after a make, man-to-man, but a sloughing man after a miss.
On the elbow, the shot wouldn't drop. And the quick counterattack for Duke. Emil Jefferson with the bucket.
Jefferson coming off of 2 games in which he's averaged 16.5 points and over 9 rebounds. He's made just about every shot he's taken because he's taken nothing but good shots.
Robinson has struggled to shoot lately. This is Chris Jones. And now Cameron Wright, the leading returning scorer from a year ago. He suffered a broken foot in October, missed the first 7 games. They're 9-2 since he got healthy and rejoined the team. Okafor, the rebound. Quinn Cook into the traffic. They doubled Okafor. He got rid of it quickly, and it rolled in. 4 points for Emil Jefferson, picking up right where he left off Saturday.
Anytime there's a double team, Emil Jefferson or whoever is playing in that 4 slot has got to get to the rim. If you get to the front of the rim and dive to it, you'll be open.
Baseline jumper short for Michael Young.
And even though Duke is playing zone, they've gotten every defensive rebound. This is a good offensive rebounding Pittsburgh team. That's always been a staple of Jamie Dixon's teams at Pitt, even Ben Howland's before that.
Coach Dixon said they have rebounded the ball better lately. They went for the alley-oop. Tyus Jones saying it was his bad. The pass is way too high.
When the ball goes inside to Okafor, you had better rotate quickly because Emil Jefferson made a terrific cut to the rim. And Okafor's an excellent passer. He's got good vision and really starting to learn it, Sean, exactly what he's got to do because he's going to keep seeing double teams the rest of the year.
Jones long, and the rebound a little bit too high for Michael Young to corral.
Nice pass.
Leads to an open 3. Wow, in and out. And then the second attempt by Jones from 2-point range was swatted inside. Jones for 3. Timeout, Jamie Dixon. His players haven't been in here before. They're still adjusting to the
scoring right away. He wants to share the ball, and when he draws that double team, he doesn't hesitate for 1 second. If somebody's open, he's going to pass it.
Nice execution right out of the timeout. Robinson found Artis for the first bucket of the night for Pittsburgh. They were 0 for 4 prior to that bucket, and they haven't had a rebound yet tonight.
Pittsburgh, a man-to-man team. They will switch out on the perimeter, but the key is, what are they going to do inside with Okafor? I mean, Young is much smaller, and it's going to be awfully difficult for him to get Okafor off of his spot in that low block.
They double him very quickly. The ball moves very quickly. Jefferson's leaner wouldn't go. He got it back, and now it's a held ball.
Boy, what a terrific pass by Okafor. The dive to the basket wasn't open. It had been earlier, and then he looked immediately, that diagonal pass cross court. He's got a lot of ability. He handles that ball like it's a softball with those huge hands. And he can really find people even on the other side of the floor. That's unusual for a big guy, especially a freshman.
Pass inside, went past Winslow. Pittsburgh in transition and an offensive foul called on Jamel Artis as Jefferson stood in and took the hit.
Yeah, that's one of those where that charge was taken on the floor. That wasn't on an airborne player, and Artis needs to come to a jump stop and make a play.
Jamie Dixon, he just had a milestone of his own in his 12th season as head coach of Pittsburgh. Just won his 300th game. His win over Florida State at home. They're here off back-to-back wins against FSU and Georgia Tech. Okafor had his shot blocked inside.
Just went into a little high-low. He just dropped down from the right elbow and was unusually slow in getting that ball up to the basket. Usually makes much quicker moves, and he allowed that Pittsburgh defense to adjust because he had great position down low.
Mike Krzyzewski told us before the game the biggest challenge right now for his coaching staff is to find ways to help Okafor with the double teams either after they arrive, but more than that, they want him to get rid of the ball before it arrives, as he did right there. To a wide open shooter. That's a three for Quinn Cook.
Back to the 2-3 zone after the make. The issue isn't so much man or zone, it's the point of pickup, Sean. Usually they would pick up at half court, but now they're really only going out to about the three-point line. And Mike Krzyzewski's best defensive teams have liked to put pressure on right as you bring it past half court. Oftentimes they'll even pick up full court.
Winslow, tough step back. He's been in a slump lately, as has Tyus Jones. Pittsburgh opportunity break, and Artis scores again. Another assist for James Robinson. They've combined for both Panther buckets.
You know, Winslow's shot wasn't a bad one, but it was awfully early. There was only one pass made, and that's what allowed that transition. Oftentimes when you take less than a good shot, you'll open up transition for your opponent.
Good defense by Chris Jones, but Pittsburgh couldn't possess it. Okafor quickly underneath, and a foul called before the shot by Winslow. It's on Artis. That's his second. That's an early problem for Pittsburgh. Offense, we tend to play good defense as well, and that's been the case tonight.
And he uses the word "our" with his defense, and Duke's basket isn't the one they're trying to score on. It's the one they're trying to protect. It's our basket and our paint, says Mike Krzyzewski. Their man-to-man, their full court is called 41. Their three-quarter court pickup, this is about points of pickup, is called 31. When they pick up at half court, their normal defense is called 21. And at times they'll go to something called 11, where they pick up inside the three-point line. That's what they've been playing in the last couple of games. That zone is essentially a pickup inside the three-point line.
Bodies flying, and Okafor called for the foul, his first. Well, it's been a rough start for Pittsburgh, Allison. What did Jamie Dixon have to say in his huddle?
Well, a couple things he was emphasizing, as you guys can certainly see from up there. They have to get back in transition. Also, too many offensive rebounds with 4 for Duke. They're too good of a team to give them second opportunities. As far as that double team on Okafor, if they're going to keep doing it, they have to get there faster and they have to get there harder.
Right, Allison, thanks. Boy, Michael Young, an air ball from inside the free throw line.
Yeah, I think Okafor's got to go to score. Don't worry about the double team. Just take it right at him. He had an opportunity a couple of times. That last possession wound up getting a foul, and he had a turnover earlier, I think because he was looking to pass. He's got to be aggressive and look to score and then pass if it's taken away.
That bucket, his first. He scored in double figures in all 17 of his college games. He's leading the ACC in scoring at 18.9. Young, a nice move, but missed with the left hand. And it's saved by Rashid Suleiman, who's come in off the Duke bench. Their leading bench scorer the first year and a half of his career at Duke. He was a starter.
Nice pass.
Leads to another open three. Off the mark for Quinn Cook. Tip wouldn't go for Emil Jefferson.
Tyus Jones with a terrific refusal of that ball screen. And he's got excellent vision as a passer.
Double dribble to call. Second turnover for Pitt.
You know, Jahlil Okafor is so powerful and so dominant. When he catches the ball, sometimes he'll hesitate a little bit. He's hesitating a bit in this game. He just needs to go right at Nwankwo there and take him to the rim. He did it, but he hesitated just a bit. I think you go aggressively to score And if a double team comes to you, you deal with it. But I don't think you just expect the double team. You got to look to score right away. Now Pittsburgh in a 2-3 zone.
And Aaron Phillips-Nwankwo is in off the bench for Pittsburgh. He is on an academic scholarship. Really wasn't expected to play very much at all this year, but he's earned his spot with some outstanding defense. Suleiman off the bench with a 3.
And these shots going in are real confidence boosts for this Duke team. Nice move by Cam Wright.
Graduate student from Cleveland. He was the scholar athlete of the ACC last year. Out of bounds last touch by the Panthers.
Well, Wright missed the first 7 games with that injured foot, and they really missed him. He's an excellent player, a terrific defender. His mid-range game is where he really excels. He's not a perimeter shooter, but when he gets to the mid-range, he can really score.
They'll play the whole year without Jaron Johnson, who would have been one of their best players, suspended for the year. He'll be back next year. Well, they lost a couple of games early in the year that perhaps they would have won. They had right, particularly the game at Hawaii before they played in the EA Sports Maui Invitational. 4-point loss, which undoubtedly Wright would have made a difference. Winslow the miss. His woes continue.
But he cannot buy one. He was 3 of 22 coming into this game in his last 3 ball games.
Phillips-Nwankwo. Good job by Josh Newkirk to get it back after it looked like he was going to turn it over.
Winslow's down. Looks like he's injured his left shoulder. Boy, what a play by Josh Newkirk. That was a big-time basketball play by one of the speediest Panthers on the floor.
And Nwankwo, the basket.
Just got caught right underneath. Winslow was the first to the floor. Both players just going after it incredibly hard. Now he's up walking back to the bench. But what a tremendous play by Newkirk. Those are the kind of hustle plays, Sean, that can, when things have been difficult, can really give your team a shot in the arm. And I think that kind of play is contagious, where you make that kind of tough play, especially on the road, other guys want to join in.
Marshall Plumlee on the court for Duke. There's Plumlee. Third Plumlee brother to play at Duke, and he scores with the left.
Plumlee is a crowd favorite, and he's a capable player. Both his brothers are magnificent athletes, and Marshall not far behind on the athletic front. He is an excellent athlete. He's just playing behind Jahlil Okafor. Not a lot of players in the country are going to play big minutes behind him.
Luther's shot missed. Another rebound for Duke. They're hammering Pittsburgh on the glass. Cook lost it. It was out of bounds last touch by Pittsburgh.
Well, Marshall Plumlee, known as a rebounder shot blocker, excellent feet with the left hand.
17-8, the Blue Devils have out-rebounded the Panthers 14-4. Jahlil Okafor, the only player in the country averaging 18 or more points per game with 9 or more rebounds and shooting 60% from the floor.
And when you've got an asset like that, you use it. The double team comes early, and then Emil Jefferson, the immediate dive to the front of the rim. The rotation is late. A great pass by Jahlil Okafor. Then the next dive. When he gets the ball, he's doubled. The dive from Justice Winslow. It's not there. It's covered by Cameron Wright. Then he looks opposite. That's a great pass. They make the extra pass. And then when he gets it with single coverage, he's got to go to work right away, because I think one-on-one in college basketball, Jahlil Okafor is absolutely unstoppable.
68% leads the ACC at second in the nation. Evan Brad's of Belmont just a fraction of a percent ahead of him. And among those in the country who've taken 10 shots or more per game, Okafor is the leading shooter. He shot 70% or better from the floor in 10 out of their 17 games this year. Wild shot by Suleiman, and a rare rebound for Pittsburgh. And Jay, for Jamie Dixon, that's a concern. 6 of his 11 years as head coach at Pittsburgh, they've been in the top 10 in the country in rebounding margin. This year, they're 91st at plus 3.4 per game. That's only 9th best in the ACC.
Yeah, they're small this year, Sean, across the front line, but it's a tough basketball team. They do a good job on the offensive glass, given their size, but without DeRon Johnson in there, it really shortens that rotation and certainly shortens their front line a bit.
Jamie Dixon wanted a foul. They should defend well if they can have 6 men on the court, including Jamie.
The former child actor from the California area.
And a terrific player at TCU, all Southwest Conference guard in the late 80s. Another 3. Mike Krzyzewski says it would help if the ball would go through the basket, and it is tonight. Suleiman a couple of 3s off the bench.
Well, Sean, anytime you double team, whether it's in the post or in any area, you have to ask yourself, how do you feel about open shots? And right now, Jamie Dixon can't be feeling terrific about open shots because they've given up a fair amount because of Duke's great passing out of him.
Plumlee the block shot, and then Young was out of bounds when the ball wound up back in his hands. ESPN's college basketball coverage continues. Super Tuesday tomorrow night by Cree LED lighting. LSU taking on Florida at 7, then at 9. Iowa's moved into the top 25 this week at number 25. Takes on 6th ranked Wisconsin tomorrow night on ESPN. You mentioned a couple of losses around here, cause for angst. Mike Krzyzewski said this is a very young team that's done some very good things. Foremost among them, that win at Wisconsin earlier this year. Another 3, this one for Tyus Jones, who was 0 for 8 from 3 the last 3 games.
Well, confidence is rising, and I think it's in large measure because of how well Duke has passed the ball. It's not that Pittsburgh's defense hasn't been good. It's been good. But those double teams, there have been passes out of them. They're knocking shots down.
Second foul on Jahlil Okafor. He got called for a reach in, and Coach K will take him out of the game. Plumlee comes back after a very brief breather.
But even Marshall Plumlee, when he got the ball down in the low post, he was double teamed and passed very effectively out of it. And it's not always the first pass out of a double team that gets you the shot. Oftentimes it's the second, and Duke has made both those passes.
This is their largest lead. Chris Jones knocks one home for his first basket of the night. He averages 9 a game.
Pittsburgh has been in man. They've gone a few possessions of zone, but their man is not a ball pressure man. They are trying to pack the lane.
You're right about the passing. It's led to a lot of open shots. That one missed out of the corner by Jones. Rare rebound to the offensive end for Pittsburgh for Artis, and he was fouled on the way back up by Marshall Plumlee.
And that was a poor defensive possession in transition for Duke. Nobody called out who had the ball. There was no talk. There was very little action on, hey, you got him, I got ball. Mike Krzyzewski likes his team to talk, and there was very little talk and communication in transition on that last possession.
So Artis at the line, one of the best in the country right now. 84.9% is second in the ACC.
One of the things that Jamel Artis brings is he's very skilled as a player, but he's an excellent passer. He's really got to, with this team, he's got to look to score because he can shoot as well.
He had a career-high 20 Saturday in their win against Georgia Tech. He had 20 earlier in the year as well in a game against Manhattan. Duke handles the press well. And the one-handed floater drops for Quinn Cook, the senior from Washington, D.C.
Well, Matt Jones got trapped on that little diamond press put on after the made free throw. And it was just too easy to get down the floor. That was a terrific job by Quinn Cook. And Duke sticking with that 2-3 zone after a make.
Good ball movement. And the three-point shot long by Cameron Wright. He got it back. Beat Tyus Jones for the ball. Jones pull-up wouldn't go, but a good offensive rebound and score by Michael Young, his first basket. He averages just under 14 per game.
You know, it's funny, Sean, when some coaches struggle, they talk about, well, this is the way we play. You know, we're gonna keep doing what we do. When Mike Krzyzewski's team has had a problem, he's thinking about what do we need to do to win. If we need to change, we'll change in order to win. And he went to this 2-3 zone. It's been really effective.
Part of what makes him a great coach. And it was obvious talking to him before the game, a big part of his success is the psychological part.
Yeah.
Knowing what buttons to push. And the challenge this year in particular with a very young team. Young team that's thriving tonight and leading Pitt. By Journey to the Tourney presented by Sonic, a spotlight on games that will impact the NCAA tournament. That'll be a high-level matchup.
Well, I can't tell you how impressed I was that Kansas didn't give up in that game on Saturday at Iowa State, because I think most teams in the top 25 playing against Iowa State that night would have gotten beat by double digits, and Kansas had a chance at the end of that game. That's a team that does not and will not give up. Really impressive. Pittsburgh hasn't made anything outside the lane. They got to get some shots to go down from the perimeter, because they can't keep going into the lane and getting the ball taken from them.
Robinson lost it as the shot clock was winding down. The fourth Pittsburgh turnover. And the shot manages to drop. Looked like Michael Young was going to block it, but instead it's a bucket for Tyus Jones, the freshman from Apple Valley, Minnesota, has 8.
Now, this zone has been very effective for Duke in the last 3 halves, 2 against Louisville and this first half against Pittsburgh. But you got to remember that these two teams have struggled to shoot the ball from the perimeter. Louisville shot 29%, and they got some open shots on the perimeter. They couldn't make any. So you wonder how long and what adjustments Duke will make when they get against a team that can shoot it.
I would guess they wouldn't play anywhere near as much zone. And again, it's part of good coaching. Playing teams that struggle to shoot like Louisville and Pittsburgh from the outside. It's interesting because you asked Coach K before the game if he still calls their zone defense orange, because he was encouraged to play zone defense by his very close friend and assistant coach on the Olympic team, Jim Boeheim, who's known for the 2-3 zone, which Syracuse has excelled at for years. He said, nope, now that they're in the league, I don't call it orange anymore.
Well, when I was playing this a million years ago, he had the same numbering system for zone as for man. So I'm not giving anything away here. I mean, they've been calling this stuff the same thing for 35 years. Every opponent knows what it is. It's like student body right for USC back in the day. Everybody knows what it is. But he used to call it 12, and I think they've gone back to that. But he called it orange for a while, almost in homage to Jim Boeheim, who he works with USA Basketball.
And who is second all-time on the wins list. 998, as we've mentioned a few times, for Coach K. Jim Boeheim, 962. We'll see his orange Saturday against Miami up at the Carrier Dome. They'll be on ESPN2 at 4 o'clock. Count the basket and a chance for a three-point play.
Boy, really nice fast break by Pittsburgh. They ran the lanes wide and got all the way to the rim, and Jones was able to skirt anything close to a charge, and Rasheed Suleiman just kind of flopped here at the end. There was very little, if any, contact, and I think that's more than anything what drew the foul. I think if he'd stayed up, he wouldn't have gotten that call. That call was way late, I think, because he just went down for little or no reason.
First foul on Suleiman. 4 team fouls on Duke. Been a foul-free game, only 3 called on Pitt so far.
See, Okafor has got Ryan Luther on. He's just locked him down. Take him into lane and just post him.
Okafor didn't want to go after that rebound with the 2 fouls as Luther had inside position. A good rebound by the freshman, and Pittsburgh's done a much better job lately rebounding. They're being out-rebounded by 10 not long ago. Now it's 16-13 on the glass. And a travel against Cameron Wright.
Duke icing the ball screen, and this little shuffle of the feet as Cam Wright tried to refuse it and take it to the basket. But Pittsburgh just cannot get anything to go from the perimeter. They're really not looking to take perimeter shots. And they're going to have to make some. You're not going to be able to do everything in the paint against Duke in this ballgame.
When we spoke with Jamie Dixon before the game, he said, I like the way my team's been playing. We need to shoot the ball better. There's a 3 for Suleiman. We asked Jamie, do you have guys who are capable of shooting better? And he said, I believe that we do. But so far tonight, they haven't demonstrated the ability to do so.
Another second pass, Sean, out of the double team gets Duke a wide open shot, and they are knocking everything down. I think that was their 6th-3 of the ballgame.
You're correct, 6 for 12. Meanwhile, Okafor did a good job defending Young without fouling. Okafor, 6'11", 270-pound freshman from Chicago. Oh, my goodness. These folks should enjoy him while they have him, because it won't be for long.
He's just unguardable. Unguardable with one man. That's why they're sending double teams at him. And, you know, Ryan Luther had no shot here. And I don't know whether you say, you know, 6'11" Baryshnikov, Nureyev, whatever ballerina you want to name. But this young man has got a lot of game. And he's a competitor. He went to Whitney Young High School in Chicago. Played USA basketball. He's played all over the world. In fact, the young players on this Duke team in USA basketball, how about this, Sean? They've accounted for 14 gold medals in international competition, and they're 94-0 in international play. And that doesn't count any of Coach K's wins or all that with the U.S. senior national team. You know, Justice Winslow, Tyus Jones, Rashid Suleiman, Jahlil Okafor. This guy's 94-0 in international competition. It's amazing.
That is amazing. Artis, just their second three-point attempt. They've missed them both. Cook the other way. This is the largest lead for Duke. We approach 4 minutes to go in the first half. Trying to get back on the winning track at home. That loss in the last home game to Miami snapped the 41-game winning streak here at Cameron.
In this first half, Duke has looked like the offensive team they looked like early in the year. They haven't looked like the defensive team they look like early in the year. This is a different defensive team, it seems like, but offensively, they look awfully good in this one.
Turning them into 14 points, and they've outscored Pitt from the arc by 18.
You know, Pittsburgh's taken the ball into a lot of traffic and a lot of trouble because they can't make a perimeter shot. And that's more than anything what's led to the turnovers. Duke's defense has certainly been good, but it's not like they're out there pressuring and forcing Pittsburgh out further on the floor as they used to do in their man-to-man defense. You know, Sean, it's kind of interesting. When we were talking to Jamie Dixon earlier today about his double teams, I asked him, where'd you come up with the schemes for the way you double? Because you and Ben Howland do it the same way and did it when he was at Pitt. He said, well, it actually goes way back to when they were at UCSB. And they actually took it from Seth Greenberg when he was at Long Beach State. How about that?
Wow. Seth
Greenberg influencing the game. That's probably why Okafor's scoring so well.
Phillips Nwoko trying to guard him. Okafor's shot is off, and then a foul over the back on Emil Jefferson, the junior from Philadelphia, called for his first and the team's 6th.
How efficient is Emil Jefferson? I mean, he's shooting 67% from the field. Last couple games, 16.5 points, 13 of 16 from the field. That's hard to beat.
Good execution of the half-court offense for Pitt. Michael Young has 4 points.
A really nice job by Cameron Wright of staying low, coming to a jump stop where he could have made a play. He could have shot that and dropped it off. Really well done. One-on-one coverage.
And Okafor. Well, that's an interesting matchup. You have the most highly touted player in the country in Okafor, and this young man who's a senior who's played almost not at all until this year at Pitt on an academic scholarship. He was a perfect 4.0 student in Baltimore. Came to Pittsburgh for the pre-med program, but he's worked his rear end off to earn the opportunity to play and become a productive player for them.
He made a half-court shot in practice today at the end of practice. Pretty impressive. And really a nice young man. He's a good player, too.
Josh Newkirk back in his native area. He's from Raleigh. Really the first recruit from this part of the world during Pitt's ACC era. Jamie Dixon and the Panthers down by 12 as we check in with Allison.
Well, guys, you were talking about Aaron Phillips-Nwankwo, and they're trying to defend Okafor, a tough task, but they've been bringing him in as kind of a defensive boost, and I will tell you, his teammates love it. When I asked James Robinson and Cameron Wright about it before the game, they said he just battles. He's so strong. He can finish under the basket, and having that underneath the basket, it just brings an energy, having a guy in the middle that can be scrappy and physical.
Well, he can certainly be physical. He's big and he's strong. But you're right, Allison. Having to guard Jahlil Okafor that's not much of a reward for getting put into the ball game. And Okafor in that last possession, when he got the ball inside and got single coverage, that's about as close to a miss as he's going to get. It's really amazing when he works with his coaching staff and he's getting shots up. He uses the window as well as anybody in the country. And he makes shot after shot after shot, and the ball just dives into the basket. And so when that ball kind of hit the rim and fell in, that's kind of a Jahlil Okafor miss, because he hardly ever misses.
2 free throws by Tyus Jones. He's refound his shooting form tonight. He has 10 points, averages 9.5 per game. He had been struggling the last 3 games entering tonight. 2 minutes to go in the half. Duke's been comfortably ahead virtually throughout.
The question is this going to be a 20-point lead, or is it going to be an 8-point lead?
Or something in between. Phillips-Nwankwo, the bucket.
That's excellent execution. Get the ball into the middle, look baseline. But the issue, the last couple of minutes are really important in this first half, because Duke can really put a cushion, give themselves a cushion. But Pittsburgh, if they have a couple of stops, couple of scores, they can get back into this thing. High screen.
Crowd counting down the shot clock, and it's a 3. First basket of the night for Justice Winslow.
And Pittsburgh left him wide open. You're not open that long in a horse game, let alone a game of 5-on-5.
Newkirk missed the wide open 3.
Duke can get a 2-for-1 here.
You don't see college teams make anywhere near as much of an effort to do that as the NBA teams do.
Well, Mike Krzyzewski does it. You know who really does it? Fred Hoiberg at Iowa State. Never misses an opportunity to go for 2-for-1.
Perhaps because of his NBA background as a player?
I think so. And being in the front office with the Minnesota Timberwolves. But a lot of coaches in college will look at it like, I don't want to get 2 bad shots and exchange it for 1. I want to make sure I get a good shot, then get a stop. We'll see what happens.
Foul on James Robinson, his first. So Quinn Cook at the line, 94.3%. He'd be leading the ACC in free throw shooting, but hasn't had enough attempts to qualify. There's 35 free throws for the year.
And Tyus Jones, no slouch, also hitting almost 90%. To have a starting backcourt that shoots 90% from the free throw line is a real luxury, especially at the end of a close game.
In contrast to the other 3 starters who are all below 60% from the line for the year. Pitt will try to take the last shot of the half.
And Duke sticking with that 2-3 zone. This is where a block out for the defense or an offensive rebound for an offense can be a big play.
Newkirk, foul called by Pat Driscoll. And that puts Duke over the limit. So Jamie Dixon's team will be at the line with a chance to get a little bit closer as Tyus Jones was called for his first.
Newkirk about a 70% free throw shooter. And Okafor coming back into the game. This is an offense substitution with 7 seconds left. Duke can get it down court and perhaps get it to Okafor for a score, foul, or both.
1-on-1 opportunity for Josh Newkirk, sophomore from right down the road in Raleigh. Woo. That one popped out, and a foul, a timeout called by Mike Krzyzewski. Well, it's a special night. We mentioned Pittsburgh hasn't played here in 36 years. And it was 36 years ago that the Duke, one of the nicest men you and I have had the great privilege to know and call a friend. Unfortunately, not able to be here tonight. He had a fall in Pittsburgh over the weekend. We wish him well now in his mid-80s and as vibrant as ever.
One of the all-time great people. Dick Grote is an All-American in every sense of the word.
And the long three at the half wouldn't go for Quinn Cook. Just about everything else did. 7 out of 15 from beyond the arc for 47% after shooting just 33 from beyond the line their first 5 ACC games, during which they've gone 3-2. Duke leads by 16 at the half. In the game, the first half stats brought to you by New York Life, and a lot of good numbers for Mike Krzyzewski. He said the mood of the team would be enhanced greatly just by making some shots, and they've done that very well tonight, largely because they passed the ball so well, Jay.
Especially out of those double teams. When the ball's gone inside to Jahlil Okafor, he has passed it out, and they've found open people to hit 7 threes in that first half. That's the confidence booster that Mike Krzyzewski was looking for his offense. But one thing that Duke has done really well, they haven't forced a lot of turnovers. They forced 6 of them in that first half, but they scored off those turnovers and converted.
Michael Young, strong move to the basket. 6 points for the Panthers, leading scorer on the season, and they're back within 14. The biggest deficit Pitt faced in the first half was 17 late in the half. Emil Jefferson.
And Artis playing way off of Jefferson.
Count it for Tyus Jones. He's been a new man tonight. And he'll have a chance for a 3-point play. He has 12 points. We check in with Allison Williams down the floor.
There was so much talk about Duke's confidence shooting the ball coming into this game, and I'll tell you, after that first half performance, they're feeling pretty confident. I talked to assistant coach Jeff Capel, and he said exactly what you guys did. That early Jahlil Okafor did a good job beating the double team by finding the open guys, and those open looks, getting them to fall, led to their confidence being high early. He said here in the second half, they just need to keep it there, be smart, and play hungry.
13 points now for Tyus Jones. Thank you, Allison.
But Jones has really had his best game against the best opponents that Duke has faced. He was magnificent on the road at Wisconsin. He played very well at Louisville, even though he didn't shoot the ball particularly well. He had 10 points and 8 assists in that one. But Tyus Jones has a lot. He's a mature player. Doesn't get too worked up over misses, but he's got a chance to be really, really good. And that shot was a big one by Jamel Artis for this Pitt team. That might be their first bucket outside the paint.
It's their first 3-point field goal of the night for the sophomore from Baltimore. Justice Winslow spinning into the lane, well guarded. The shot wouldn't drop. Good defense there by Chris Jones.
But Justice Winslow has been in a scoring and shooting slump, and that's not how you get out of a slump, is to take an incredibly difficult and challenged shot. You want to try to get something easy, something in transition, something going to the basket, but that was off of 0 passes. He just put his head down and went to the rim.
Young making a concerted effort, it seems, to get more involved here in the second half. Tough shot by Jones with Jefferson draped on him, and you can see a little life in that Pittsburgh bench as they're back within 12.
Pittsburgh came out really strong. That was an excellent cut by Chris Jones. Good job defensively by Quinn Cook to cut off that middle drive, and Jones just cut right into that area. And usually Emil Jefferson, an excellent defender, but did not stay between his man and the ball.
I think that was intended for Okafor. It's a turnover for Tyus Jones, and the break for the Panthers. Layup was missed. It's going to be James Robinson was knocked down. The Pitt bench wanted to foul, and they're going to get a foul called on Winslow. His first. Timeout called by Duke.
It goes down at the X Games.
Who cares what it
really means? Enabling someone to be courageous. And I'd never heard it quite described like that, but that's really what he's trying to do. Tell his team, don't play timidly. Go out there and be courageous.
Well, and his wife, Mickey, has been along his side since he was a cadet at West Point. And sitting to her right was their daughter, Debbie Savarino. And just about every good idea that you see around here in Cameron Indoor Stadium, with all the changes that have been made and all the things that they do in this program, have been their idea.
How about putting the idea they have of a broadcast booth that isn't attached to the roof in a sauna? Cameron Wright has 4 points now for Pittsburgh, and the Panthers are within 10. Typical of the Pittsburgh program under Jamie Dixon. They're going to battle all the way to the end, win or lose. Really, you can see the intensity's picked up in the defense as well. Really the first time that Okafor has been slow in handling that double team. Still 6 points for Okafor, averages 19. Winslow, a big bucket, and it's a three.
Well, how many guys, Sean, can dribble out of a double team like that? Back to the 2-3 zone after the make. And the movement much better right now for Pittsburgh. Moving with a purpose.
That extra pass leads to a wide open shot, and it stays down for Jamel Artis.
Pittsburgh has come out much stronger in this second half. It's almost like they were trying to feel out the process in the first, and were caught flat-footed at times and not taking advantage of offensive opportunities. Good double team by Pittsburgh to make Okafor get rid of it.
Winslow for an open three for Tyus Jones. 16 for the freshman.
And all the passes have been right on the money. Hitting a teammate in his shooting pocket so there doesn't have to be an adjustment before the shot is launched.
Chris Jones answers with a three. Both sides heating up. 9 points for Chris Jones. Their leading three-point shooter. They don't lead heavily on the three ball with a lack of outside shooters. He leads the team in threes made. That's just his 23rd of the year. Okafor into the traffic.
How are you going to stop that? That's a big-time move. He always catches and looks into the middle to survey the entire floor before he makes a move. He pauses for poise when he catches it. And once he sees that he had an opening, I mean, he went right into that opening, spins back and finishes with the right hand and one.
If you blink, you won't see it, because that's how quickly Okafor moves with the ball down the low post.
Really extraordinary footwork for a man his size. And you know, as a low post player and as a freshman, just as a first-year player, you know, I can't recall any offensive low post player being as polished and as good as Jahlil Okafor.
He was fouled by Michael Young while scoring right before the media timeout, so this is a chance to finish the three-point play.
And of course, I'm talking about in the Atlantic Coast Conference. There have been a lot of great players, but you know, in this league as a freshman, he's as polished out of the gate as anyone I can remember.
Cougs press leads to a free throw opportunity for Emil Jefferson. Winslow took the ball away near midcourt, and Jefferson will shoot a couple. And the foul's on Cameron Wright.
Almost looked like Pittsburgh was a bit surprised by that full court pressure. And that's not a turnover that you see Pittsburgh make often. Cameron Wright, usually smart in his decision making on the basketball floor. And that was not a good pass. It was to a man running away from the action instead of coming back to the ball to shorten up the distance. Jamie Dixon's done such a nice job with this Pittsburgh program that they have been hurt by the loss of Deron Johnson, who was suspended for the season. That really gets people playing out of position, and it has been difficult. They were thin in numbers anyway, but this has not looked like to me a typical Pittsburgh team. They're good, but they're not as good as they have been.
Yeah, they lack proven scores, and he was one of them. They also lost the freshman Cameron Johnson, who looked like he was going to be a contributor. He played very well out in Maui. He was a three-point threat, but he played in just 8 games and hurt his shoulder. Jamie Dixon told us before the game they think now he's probably going to need to have shoulder surgery.
That's a tough matchup for Young down there. There's nothing he can do, and he's a good defender and a strong player. But Okafor is huge as compared to Michael Young.
And he's in double figures now with 10 points. So that's all 18 games of his collegiate career. The Duke record for consecutive games scoring in double figures as a freshman is 23 by the great Johnny Dawkins. Chris Jones, the basket.
There's been no more important player in Duke's basketball history than Johnny Dawkins. Just a remarkable player, but especially when he got here and what he did for this program and for Mike Krzyzewski's career. Just an amazing player.
Okafor bumped. Well, you were part of that group. You were a freshman in Coach K's 3rd year here in Durham. Teammate of Johnny Dawkins.
I was recruited to carry Johnny's bags on the road trips.
But there were a lot of you who were terrific players who came all at that same time. David Henderson, who's here tonight. Mark Allery. Shortly thereafter, I believe, Tommy Emiker.
The next year.
Quinn Cook. A miss. What was it about Coach K or about Duke or the entire package as Young is fouled that made guys who were highly recruited, and don't be immodest because I know you were highly recruited and a lot of those other guys.
And you know I'm not immodest.
And I know. Don't go out of character. You look at what had happened at Duke. There have been some great stretches throughout their history, but nothing obviously like what Mike's done over the last 35 years. But what was it about him in particular that had you place your faith in him?
Well, I think early on, I'd never heard of him when he first started recruiting me. I grew up in Los Angeles, and I first met him in 1981 and didn't know who he was. And I trusted him immediately. He was unfailingly honest, and you just took a liking for him right away. And I'd like to be able to tell you that I chose Duke because of the Gothic architecture and the great reputation for the school and their major programs and all that, but that's not true. I was choosing a coach coming out of high school, a coach who I wanted to play for, and I figured the guy I wanted to play for would be the school I want to go to. And I came down to Lute Olson, who was at Iowa, Jim Boeheim at Syracuse, Ted Owens, who was at Kansas at the time, and Mike Krzyzewski. And couldn't have gone wrong with any of them. But Coach K says now he would have gotten to 1,000 a heck of a lot quicker if I'd chosen one of those other guys.
I think he's borrowing jokes from his good pal and close pursuer Jim Boeheim, because that's the line Jim used when he went to the Hall of Fame. Suleiman to 3. He said if P.J. Carlissimo had stayed at Seton Hall longer as the coach, Jim would have gotten to the Hall of Fame faster. And of course they are the best of friends. Big night for Suleiman.
Duke's shooting has been excellent, but I think it's in large measure because their passing has been excellent. All the passes have been right on the money. It's not just been, Sean, the extra pass, it's been the right pass.
Cook's 3 wouldn't go. The offensive rebound by Suleiman kept it alive, and Tyus Jones has 18. Pittsburgh is...
And Coach K has been, this is as hard as he's worked. He's been out on the floor, down in the stance. Might tear an Achilles. He does know he's over 50, right? Have they told him that?
He is 67 and will be 68. You never believe it.
One of the things, and look, Jamie Dixon is the same way. I mean, a lot of coaches do this, but I think it's many of the gifted coaches do this. Like, he can sense when the team needs energy, and when the team is too keyed up. These great coaches are really calm, and when they're too calm, they get keyed up, and they've been too calm, and he's been keyed up.
Pressure led to another Pittsburgh turnover, but for one of the few times tonight, Duke didn't capitalize on the turnover, and Newkirk turns it over again. It'll be interesting to see how long Coach K goes. He's going to be the first coach in men's basketball to reach 1,000. It could be in their next game at St. John's on Sunday. He is a healthy and vibrant 67-year-old, and it's clear, as we've seen tonight, he still has great passion for the job.
I think as long as his health is good, he's going to keep doing this. He really enjoys it. He still gets a bang out of winning and preparing. 2-3 zone now for Pittsburgh, and got the ball inside awfully easily, and one of the very few times that you'll see Jahlil Okafor not finish a play around the basket.
He rebounded his own miss and got fouled by Chris Jones, his first, and the 5th already in the half against the Panthers. Duke hasn't missed a free throw tonight. 8 out of 8 as a team. Okafor's 1 for 1. One of the few weak parts of his game so far as a freshman. 58% from the line. More college basketball tomorrow night with Super Tuesday, presented by Cree LED Lighting. Starts with LSU taking on Florida at 7, the SEC, and then on to the Big Ten at 9 for Iowa and Wisconsin. Tomorrow night on ESPN.
But that's a really big game in the Big Ten. And Iowa, they did not play well in the second half of their game with Michigan State. Boy, that win they had over Ohio State, that's a team that has a chance, I think, to be very, very good. So you got to win these big games on the road, and winning at the Kohl Center, Wisconsin, has proven to be next to impossible in the Big Ten.
Okafor goes out to a nice hand. 12 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists out of those double teams tonight for Jahlil.
And a couple of them were kind of hockey assists, where he probably has really more than 5 assists because a pass was made out of it. I've always felt like those should count as assists. You make the pass that leads to the assist. I kind of like the way hockey does it.
I'm glad that you have done one of your soliloquies tonight. This is our first big Monday of the year together, and it's, as you say, not Big Monday without Jay Billis, so now I guess it truly is big tonight.
Well, here's that double team that Pittsburgh brings, and Okafor can not only see over it and pass over it, but it's that second pass that has been so effective. And Quinn Cook, they're finding Rashid Suleiman, who caught the ball ready to shoot down in the stance. Another double team, and Okafor looked like he might have switched pivot feet there, but he's able to dribble all the way into the middle of the lane, draw 4 defenders, and then kick it to a wide open Justice Winslow. And that's the kind of shot, a good shot, that Winslow can get that'll let him see the ball go through the basket, and he can get some of his confidence back. But Okafor's confidence has been at an incredibly high level because he's shooting close to 70% from the field on the season.
Oh, nice inbound play. It was juggled by Artis. That might have helped him out as he wound up being fouled. He has 15 points and a chance for a 16th. Marshall Plumlee called for his 3rd.
A terrific job by Artis, and this is where Marshall Plumlee, the 7-footer, needs to stay under the basket and protect that rim. That drives coaches crazy to give up a layup on out of bounds underneath, but very well executed by Pittsburgh.
Another big night for Artis after his career high 20 on Saturday. Jay, I thought what was really nice as we talked with Coach K before the game was, as much as he appreciates Okafor and what a great player he is, and Mike says he's going to be even that much better, because he's still a work in progress, but the appreciation that he has for the young man as a person. He said he comes from a great family and he grew up happy. His family's happy, he's happy, and he radiates happiness around this program as well.
I've always found that the guys that shoot 70% radiate happiness.
Whoa. Look away pass by Tyus Jones underneath. Suleiman. Plumlee the offensive rebound. And a foul. Well, this is shaping up to be career win number 999 for Coach K. And I think it means every bit as much to him as did the first and all the other milestones along the way. In the country. You buying that? It's as good a league as there is from top to bottom, the strength of the bottom?
I think it's the most competitive conference top to bottom. I think the ACC has some better teams at the top, but maybe not the strength down at the bottom. I mean, the Big 12 has got 10 teams, and of the sort of what we call the power conferences, the major conference, really the only one that does the round robin. The Big East does the same thing, but I don't know why we don't call the Big East a major conference. It is a major conference. But the Big East, I'll tell you, the Big East may have been the most surprising conference this year as to how well it did in the non-conference. I can't tell you that I expected that, but outside of the Big 12, I think the Big East had the best non-conference record.
And Villanova still up there, 17-1, number 4 in the country this week. First bucket of the night for Sheldon Jeter, sophomore transfer from Vanderbilt. Played sparingly tonight, and interestingly so, because Jamie Dixon said one of his thoughts lately has been he needs to get Jeter more playing time.
Well, he's so athletic, and he can guard multiple spots, guard a big guy, guard out on the perimeter. He's guarding Matt Jones right now out on the perimeter. But they needed him to start making some shots. He didn't play at all last year after transferring from Vanderbilt. So he's still kind of feeling his way through and learning the system.
5-on-4 break for the Panthers, and Plumlee's going to be called for a foul.
You know, it's funny. He's probably not going to get 2 shots there. How could he go up? You know, Robinson with a nice shot fake. I mean, there's no way he could go up.
Lucky nobody got seriously hurt. 4 fouls on Plumlee.
Well, Plumlee came in and did a nice job. He picked up some fouls, but he brought some energy. And he passed out of it. They double teamed him. He passed out of it every bit as effectively as Okafor.
Brother Miles and brother Mason both played here at Duke. Both now in the NBA. They were first-round picks. Mason with the Nets and Miles with America's team, the Phoenix Suns. 18 now for Jamel Artis.
Well, he really got that shot up quickly. Pittsburgh's got to get some stops. In the second half, they've been much better on the offensive end, but they're not able to get consistent stops.
A lot of banging. Joseph Ochbo in the game. He's been given the challenge of dealing with Okafor and did so with a bit too much vigor. See Okafor's reaction. I'm a little tired of this, but he better get used to it.
Well, the way when I watch Jahlil Okafor play, you're thinking he's always open. It's just a question of the angle. So if the defender is out in front of him, reverse the ball and look to get it into him, because he has got to touch the ball. If you don't get a transition basket, he's got to touch it on every possession. He passes so well out of it, he collapses a defense.
Missed the front end of a 1-and-1. We're more than midway through the second half now. There were 2 Duke players there, and they couldn't control it. Winslow and Jones, and it's out of bounds to the Panthers. Speaking of the NBA, more NBA action on Wednesday. Kevin Durant, the Thunder, facing the Wizards at 8, and then at 10:30, James Harden and the Rockets facing Steph Curry and the Warriors. NBA countdown begins at 7:30 on Wednesday. James Robinson scores. He's had a quiet night for the Panthers. In fact, that's his first basket of the night.
Well, he's such a good player, but he's had to take on more of a scoring role. His assist-to-turnover ratio in his career is ridiculously good. Not quite as good as Monte Morris of Iowa State. His is superhuman. It's almost like he's a machine. 6-1.
Wow.
You're talking about the Oklahoma City Thunder. Did Russell Westbrook go all Marshawn Lynch on the media recently?
Yes. I've been out of the country, but I have managed to follow it from afar.
You were out of the country. I was wondering why America seemed like a happier place.
Well, I can't believe you were not watching the Latin America Amateur Championship on the ESPN family of networks. Ochbo called for the foul. It was a really fun event.
I did watch it. I'm a huge Andy North and Dottie Pepper fan.
And they did a terrific job on the broadcast. Historic event, first of its kind. Won yesterday by Matias Dominguez down in Buenos Aires. And with that comes an automatic bid to play in the Masters. And you're an avid golfer, as am I, and what a dream come true that would be for anybody who loves golf.
Isn't it great when you see professional golfers that have played in every event, when they talk about how they feel when they get the invitation, when they open up that invitation from the Masters, because it's as you know, an invitational event.
Kind of how I felt when I opened the letter that said you'll be working with Shane Battier this year on Big Monday.
Instead of me. Finally a Duke guy. You get to work with a Duke guy that knows what he's talking about.
Finally a Duke guy who's smart, was a good player. And I don't mean to pile on you, and I'm just doing this to offer some perspective. But as we mentioned, you were a freshman in Coach K's third year here. And you and your pals are now 50 years old. And this man's still coaching and looked like he could coach for another 50 years.
It's really amazing. And of guys that I went to high school with, the only ones whose coach that they played for in college is still coaching at that same place is here in Syracuse that I know of. And there may be some in Division II and Division III I'm not paying attention to, or maybe Greg Campy at Oakland. Yeah, my jersey's a different spot. Yeah, our director, Jeff Evers, is trying to look for my jersey in the rafters, and I hung it up deep in the corner when nobody was looking.
You scored more than 1,000 points.
I did. The benchmark of a great college career.
$15-point lead for Duke. They have not trailed tonight. Whoops. Kicked out of bounds by Suleiman. Just the fourth Duke turnover of this game with 8.5 minutes to go.
You know, Pittsburgh doesn't put a lot of pressure on the ball. They're not out in passing lanes trying to deny passes, but they're a good defensive team. And this is as well, and Duke's a very good passing team. They're a high assist team, but this is as well as I've seen them pass it all year long.
Robinson the save, but it went to Emil Jefferson. This is looking like it's going to be number 999 for Coach K. And he has a very tough stretch coming up to get 1,000. They have 3 road games in a row coming up at St. John's, at Notre Dame, and at Virginia. Foul called on Okafor. His third. Media timeout with 7:55 to go.
ESPN's exclusive present.
And an athletic and an older St. John's team, but you know, Sean, it's hard to fathom 1,000 wins. You know, Jamie, you mentioned the milestone. Jamie Dixon's one of the really outstanding basketball coaches in America, and he's had an outstanding 12-year career. He just passed 300, and which is an amazing number. And to think that Coach K is about to get 1,000, it's hard to fathom.
That would be approximately 700 more. And Jamie was one of the fastest ever to 300 wins. He won his 300th game in his 401st career game, 19th fastest of all time in terms of number of games to get to 300 wins. And he did it more quickly than some of the all-time greats, Dean Smith, Bob Knight, John Thompson, and Eddie Sutton.
And the success he had in the Big East was absolutely remarkable. You know, going to all those Big East championships and Big East finals in Madison Square Garden. And you know, I still think his best team at Pitt was in 2009 when they got clipped in the Elite Eight by Villanova when Scotty Reynolds took the ball length of the court. You know, Sam Young was on that team, Levance Fields, DeJuan Blair. That was a remarkable basketball team.
And one of the most memorable shots in Pitt history came against Duke, 2007 at Madison Square Garden. Levance Fields, the three-pointer. And then Duke had a couple of last-ditch opportunities. John Shire now on the bench as an assistant to Coach K with that long shot. And the Panthers won 65-64 with a thriller. Another one at MSG. Jamie won 2 Big East regular season titles and a Big East tournament title. But by percentage in conference games, he was the winningest coach in the history of the old Big East, as we like to call it.
Really remarkable. And just looking at that 2007 game when Levance Fields got the switch and knocked that shot down, you could see Sam Young underneath the basket. Maybe the best shot fake that I can remember of a forward in the last 10-15 years.
And that ties it all together, because who loves a shot fake more than Coach Knight?
Mike Krzyzewski waving his arms at the end of that timeout, just trying to get the crowd a little more into it. This is still, even
Josh
though,
Newkirk a 3.
Yeah, even though this is a double-digit lead, there's a lot of time left in this game. A couple of stops, couple of baskets, and all of a sudden the outlook could be different.
I was at the game at Boston College that Pitt played a couple of weeks ago when they were down by double figures with 2 minutes to go and came back and won. Obviously a much different level of competition here tonight against Duke.
Okafor's got to touch it.
Cook will go to the line. He was fouled in the act of shooting. And Jamie Dixon, just to put the exclamation point on it, in Big East games, regular season and Big East tournament games, won 65.8% of all Big East games he coached. Best of all time, just a little bit ahead, 0.4% ahead of Jim Boeheim. Next on the list, John Thompson, Rick Pitino, Buzz Williams, Lou Carnesecca, Jim Calhoun. So when you win a higher percentage of those guys, many of them in the Hall of Fame, you've done something right, and he does it without the McDonald's All-Americans that so many of those other schools do recruit to their campuses. Whoa. Nice block by Jefferson. But Artis wound up with it after Robinson's shot was blocked, and Artis has 21, a career high. The previous career high didn't last long. He had 20 on Saturday. And Coach K before the game talked so admiringly about Jamie Dixon. He said this will be a hard game tonight because they are very well coached and they have a terrific program. They do what they do over and over again, year after year, very well.
And he emphasized that word, program. Pitt doesn't have a good team. They've got a really outstanding program.
Shot clock running down. And a three. It's been his night. Tyus Jones with 19.
Wow.
His career high is 22. He's had some of his best games against the best competition. 22 in that big win at Wisconsin. He had 21 in their victory over UConn, and 19 tonight against Pitt.
Shot clock winding down, and Jamel Artis, who is bigger and longer, just switches right out. Got a hand up. That was a contested shot. See the high ball screen set by Emil Jefferson, and then the switch. And that's big time by Tyus Jones. He has really played well, and played well against Louisville, just didn't shoot well. But you mentioned
shorted him by a couple points too, Jay. As you see, he has 21, so he's one shy of his career high.
You mentioned it, Sean. In the biggest games, he has performed at his highest level.
Young man who gets to the free throw line as well. Nearly 40% of his points have come at the line. When he gets there, he makes them. 5 assists per game, second in the ACC. Better than 3-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. He's had a very good freshman year. One of the 3 freshman starters for Coach K.
You know, Duke was able to win at the KFC Yum Center in Louisville against the highly rated Louisville Cardinals. But it wasn't because Duke shot the ball well. You know, Duke only shot 37% in that game against Louisville, but they've shot it well in this one. And that's got to be welcome news for Mike Krzyzewski and his staff, and especially the players. Now man to man, and they're really getting out and pressuring now. They're not sitting back.
Shot clock about to expire. And they'll say it's last touch by Duke with 1 second on the shot clock.
The catch and shoot situation. You don't have to have a controlled tip or anything, but you want to try to make Pittsburgh catch it going away from the basket.
Artis, long 2. Rebound Suleiman. Duke is shooting 47% from the floor and 48% from three-point range. 15 out of 17 from the free throw line.
Now Pittsburgh really having to extend, and this is not the way they normally play defense. That's going to open them up for driving lanes. Another switch. Nice pass.
Oh, Okafor threw it behind Jefferson. He was open. Chris Jones all the way to the bucket.
Instead of a layup for Duke, Pittsburgh turns that into 2 points.
Within striking distance, but it's so much harder to come back when you can't make a 3-point field goal. They're just not adept from beyond the line. They've had only 3 tonight. Jamie Dixon didn't like that call. You better be careful. That's Tony Green he's barking at, who was the gentleman who memorably tossed Jim Boeheim out of that game here last year when Jim looked like he might take off and fly.
Yeah, it looked like Tony Green had heard enough from the bench rather than Jamie Dixon. As much as Jamie might have disliked the call. And Suleiman has had a nice game. You know, he did not play his best at Louisville, but he has really come out and shot the ball well. He's been very energetic in this one.
Pittsburgh the last to touch. Duke ball, full shot clock. Let's go down to Allison Williams.
Well, Justice Winslow ready to get back in this game. This is just a few minutes after he was actually in the locker room being evaluated by the athletic training staff. He took a hard fall here in the second half and suffered from a bruised rib on his left side. I was watching him on the bench. He was holding it quite a bit, but he appears ready to go, guys.
He's taking a lot of bumps in this one, Allison. He went down with his shoulder early on going for a loose ball. He got knocked down. Looked like he injured his hip briefly. And then that bruised rib.
Okafor, another bad pass, got deflected. Duke got it back. Pittsburgh in transition, and the dunk.
Wow.
Newkirk the basket. Wow, did he accelerate? He can really run, and obviously can jump too.
Boy, going against a guy who can really block shots, and Justice Winslow was measuring him for the block. Well, Newkirk wouldn't allow that. He just took it right up and flushed it. That was big time.
Pittsburgh was trapping. Timeout called by Duke. And Pitt within 12. The closest they've been here in the second half was 10, but it was 44-34.
Boy, that was a big time finish by Josh Newkirk. Taking it in and dunking it with the right hand. And boy, it really looked like Winslow was trying to measure him to go up and block a layup attempt. So instead, he just took it right in, and there's no blocking this. You're either going to have to foul him or watch him dunk it. Impressive.
Homecoming for Newkirk from Raleigh. Word of God Academy. They've had some pretty good players here. John Wall.
John Wall's pretty good, isn't he?
J. Leslie.
Wall is having a fabulous season for the Washington Wizards. And Pittsburgh has played so much better in this second half on the offensive end. The first half couldn't buy a bucket. In the second half, they've done a really good job offensively. Problem is they can't really get Mike Krzyzewski's even cleaning the floor. Pittsburgh just hasn't been able to get stops in the second half. Duke looking to burn a little bit of clock. They're not necessarily stalling. They're just being deliberate. And once they get down to 13 or so, 12, they'll start to run a set play.
Winslow into the lane. Nice move, and unlucky as it popped out to Artis. So a chance to get it into single digits with a three. Instead, they go inside to Michael Young. 3 minutes to go. Pitt back within 10.
And Duke's transition defense has taken some hits in this one. And Pittsburgh trying to press all over the floor.
Largest lead was 21. With 12.5 minutes to go.
And Sean, this is where having two guards like Quinn Cook and Tyus Jones, where they can make 90% of their free throws, where this is a luxury because you can't foul them. You just give them 2 points.
Wow. The interior passing here down the stretch has been brutal. After it was so good much of the night, Winslow fired it past Okafor.
And Pittsburgh, Sean, just will not quit. They continue to come at Duke, and they have been especially good in transition to get back.
From one iconic venue to another, from Cameron to Allen Fieldhouse. As soon as we're done here, Pittsburgh's made a game of it. Looked like it was going to be a cruise to win number 999 for Coach K. But the Panthers have battled to within 10 with 2.5 minutes to go now.
Well, 2-2-1 three-quarter court pressure from Duke back into the 2-3 zone.
Artis, the floater, didn't get it to drop, and it's saved along the baseline by Quinn Cook.
Well, that was an important stop, Sean, for Duke. You get a basket there, and all of a sudden you get it under 10, and some real game pressure's on.
As you said, you don't want to foul Cook or Jones if you're Pittsburgh unless you absolutely have to. But now the clock runs under 2 minutes to go.
The last time Duke held the ball a little bit like this, they couldn't get it into the hands of a guard.
What a possession. They run the clock all the way down, and Quinn Cook scores. He now has 11. Back in double figures after being held to 7 against Louisville. They ended a string of 7 straight double-figure games, and then Newkirk lost it in the lane. And a great battle back by Jamie Dixon's team, but it looks like it's not going to be enough. Suleiman couldn't get it over. Struggled with the defense near midcourt from Cameron Wright.
Well, that's one of the reasons you want to get the ball into the hands of either Jones or Cook. Suleiman not a point guard, and should have had a count in his head to get it across.
Ooh, Artis got the ball in a good spot, but took his eye off it. Newkirk underneath to Young. 10-point game again, but 1:10 remaining. No timeouts left for Pitt, and Duke has only 1. Cook, 94% free throw shooter. Whoa, looked like he was very close to stepping on the baseline, and as he got trapped, Duke uses its last timeout. So neither team with a timeout left at 56 points. Snoop and Son, A Dad's Dream, Wednesday at 7 on ESPN.
Yeah, I'm more a Jeezy guy. Seth Greenberg's more a Snoop Dogg guy because Snoop is a Long Beach guy. And Seth was the coach at Long Beach State. You know, Seth Greenberg went into the Long Beach State Hall of Fame this last year.
Did he pay?
Got a ticket and went in.
Oh, you mean he was inducted?
He was inducted.
As he should be.
Alongside guys like Tex Winter, and George Allen was the head football coach at Long Beach State for a time.
Yes, he was. Shortly before he passed away. Dan Munson doing a great job with that LBSU program. 1-and-1 opportunity now for Winslow. 57% for the year.
And Winslow has had a difficult time the last several games. He's had 2 straight games where he played well at Louisville but didn't score. 2 games in a row where he had 3 points, 3 points. He's got 6 in this one. It's just been a struggle for him on the offensive end.
10th team foul, so 2 shots for him. He made 1 out of 2. It's an 11-point game with 51 seconds to go. And Duke from the line tonight, 17 out of 21, 81%. Cameron Wright. Young got his fingers on a possible offensive rebound, couldn't grab it. Now a held ball. The possession arrow belongs to Duke.
Well, Pittsburgh doesn't have much of a choice. They're going to have to go for a quick steal or foul right away. But with just 37 seconds left and an 11-point deficit, that's an awfully tall order.
A rebound for Quinn Cook is 10th. He's just 6'2". Well, he has a double-double tonight. Jefferson gets a hand as he goes off.
A steal on the inbounds. Poor job by Duke.
Artis battling. So this will be win number 999 for Coach K. Winningest men's basketball coach of all time. But Herb McGee at Philadelphia University is in hot pursuit as well. He is a legend in Philadelphia. He's won 995 games. Oklahoma and Kansas. coming up in a matter of moments. Jones the rebound. He got slammed to the deck and will shoot 2 free throws.
That Oklahoma-Kansas game is a really big game in the Big 12 conference race. Kansas coming off a loss to Iowa State. Kansas State at 4-1 atop the league. I mean, who would have thought that after 5 games? It's awfully early in the conference season, but Kansas has to protect its home court. This is a really good Kansas team, but not a great one. And they don't have a lot of margin for error. They're playing against an Oklahoma team. Buddy Hield is having a magnificent year.
We showed you the difficult schedule upcoming for Duke, and when you play in this conference, you're going to have a difficult upcoming schedule. Pittsburgh with Louisville next. How about Notre Dame in the top 10 in the country this week? Jones goes out. 22 points, matching his career high on 7 out of 11 from the floor. His shooting slump over. 4 out of 6 from three-point range. Newkirk, Jefferson the rebound. Jamie Dixon, you could see him waving his team away, trying to call off the Dogs here and not foul, and the fans boo as they foul one last time.
Well, this is a good performance, Sean, by Duke, and I think they have to feel they've taken a step forward. But the idea that, you know, they don't give the air of invulnerability that they did 3 weeks ago, a month ago. And this is, you know, it's funny, last year about this time, remember what the discussion was last year around here about this time? It was, what's wrong with Jabari Parker? Remember that? And you kind of forget that when you start ACC play, no matter if freshman, sophomore, you know, it's tough. And you're going to go through some bumpy times. And I think Duke's been, you know, their confidence has been shaken, and they're just going to have to work through this. But I still think you're looking at a team that's Final Four, has got the potential to be a Final Four team, and they can beat anybody.
And they won their first 13 games all by double figures. In fact, they've played only 1 game all year that was decided in single digits, an 8-point win against Wake Forest. Their 2 losses were both by double figures. 999 career wins for Mike Krzyzewski. And a chance to become the first men's basketball coach collegiately to 1,000 on Sunday back at Madison Square Garden, where he earned number 903 and made history in the process. Solid win over a game Pittsburgh team. The final 7.